went out to the chicken coop a couple of days ago. I only have 2 chickens right now that are laying. Brownie, who's my biggest, fluffiest, one of my oldest hens. So that means she should lay really big eggs, and she does. They're very large. And then Bibby, who's my youngest laying hen, and she's a very small bird. They're both solid black, okay? And Bibby lays the smallest eggs. So this is Bibby's egg. Now it's still, it would technically be a large egg, okay, if you weighed it. Forget how many ounces it has to be. And then here is the egg that Brownie laid that day. Look at that. I think that's called a fairy egg. And I don't know that I've ever gotten one before. They're kind of special. Chickens lay all kinds of eggs. They will lay eggs that don't really have a shell and kind of just have this membrane on the outside and break open, and they just have all kinds of strange eggs that they lay. But this one's one of them. It's teeny. It's just as long as that part of my finger. I hate to break it open, but I guess at some point I should see what size the yolk is in there. It's a little teeny yolk. Anyway, many thanks to Brownie for her hard work. I just want you to see how big they've gotten. Now there's Lottie. That's the one that I thought might end up being a rooster. I'm looking at the tail. I just can't tell. The saddle feathers. There's Coco. See, look at Coco. Look at them compared to their mama, Henny Penny. They're getting really big. Their feathers are blowing backwards. But they're really getting quite big. They're nowhere close to being old enough to lay yet. But here soon I should know. Oh, they're going for pecans. I crack pecans here on the driveway where it's hard enough, and then they come and eat the insides. Maybe I'll go do some of that. They love pecans. I've decided to come outside and harvest my comfrey. I planted this comfrey plant. It's an herb. Medicinal herb. It's good for your skin, and I want to make a salve from it too and see how it compares to my basically a plantain salve, my healing herb ointment. I just have one of these plants, but it has survived our drought and everything. I did water it some this year. Let me show you what it looks like. I bought it from this wonderful herb lady in the spring, just one, because I really wanted to give it a try. So let me show you what it looks like. So there's my comfrey plant. Isn't it beautiful and big? Look at it next to the really healthy oregano next door. Well, let's go. I've never cut any of this before. I don't know if I need snippers or can I just break it off? Oh yeah, that's pretty easy. I didn't want to rob it of all of its greenery. They are such big leaves. Look at that. About as long as my hand. A little hairy here. I'm going to infuse them into, I'm going to pick some different oils this time. For sure coconut oil, but maybe some sweet almond oil would be nice. I've got quite a bit of it. Okay, let's take this inside. I am harvesting this beautiful comfrey because our temperatures are supposed to go down to 36 degrees tonight. And that's a little chilly, and I don't really know what comfrey does at cold temperatures, but I imagine it's going to die off until next year here soon. So I wanted to get some of these beautiful leaves before it's too late. Hello, it's time to make the comfrey salve. Let me show what I'm going to do. It is very similar to the healing herb ointment, but a lot simpler. I've got my leaves here. They've been drying a couple of days, so they're a little bit dried out. And I've got sweet almond oil and coconut oil. I'll probably put 1 or 2 essential oils in there. Almost certainly tea tree oil, which is good for your skin. And I've got my beeswax. Now, I've been working with my beeswax this morning. I think I finally got this big block small enough that I can get it inside a double boiler and melt some of it off. And that's a nice way to get the beeswax instead of hacking at it. Okay, so I've got a big mason jar, but I'm not going to make this whole thing. I'm going to make about half of it. This is just for me. I want to try it for a couple of months and see what I think about it. See if it's significantly different or does anything different than the healing herb ointment. Comfrey is supposed to be, a Comfrey salve is supposed to be good for kind of maybe a little subdermal, more things like bruises, sprains, aches, arthritis, that kind of thing. And plantain salve is really better for skin surface irritations and very minor scratches and scrapes, and burns. So I'm going to see if this does anything for like arthritis pain in the winter. Does it touch it at all? Okay, so I'm going to maybe I'll bring you over a little closer where you can see what's going on. Okay, my hot water's over here and my wax is in there, so let me put this water in there that my jar will go in. Now I have scrubbed this really clean and dried it thoroughly, and I want to talk for a minute about water in lotions. Most lotion that you buy is about 70 to 75% water. I don't really want water in my skincare products because if there's water in there, there's an opportunity for bacterial growth. That's Bobo hacking up. You okay? And of course you don't want bacterial growth. I really prefer salves, ointments, balms, things like that don't have any water in them. Okay, so I'm gonna rip up this comfrey, which is pretty tough. I rip it up. Okay, let's come in a little closer so you can see what's going on here. That's how much comfrey I got, and that's why I just want to do maybe about a half of this jar. Now the Comfrey Salve recipe that I did have, I wrote down, it was supposedly a Tasha Tudor Comfrey Salve. Where is it in my little book? Here it is. I have one that's a hand cream, a rose hand cream, that Tasha Tudor, I guess, did something named Rosemary Gladstar. I wrote that down, never did make it. This says Tasha Tudor Comfrey Salve, and it's made with water, so I'm not using her recipe. But I don't know where I got that recipe from. I do have a lovely Tasha Tudor cookbook called, it's a Betty Crocker, actually, Kitchen Gardens. Now, the cookbook is by Mary Mason Campbell. The pictures are by Tasha Tudor. Maybe that's why I thought it was hers. But it's certainly, that recipe is not in there, and it really doesn't have recipes. It's a lovely little book. I also have this wonderful book that I revisit every year, Tasha Tudor's Heirloom Crafts. And it's a wonderful book, but again, it doesn't have recipes. It does talk about things like salves and all manner of wonderful crafts. If you're a crafter of any type, if you like this kind of thing and you don't have this book, you should get it for yourself for Christmas. So I am just using the experience I've had before to help me in making this. So I want to start with the sweet almond oil. It's a liquid at room temperature. This is one that Adam got for me online, 100% pure. It's a carrier oil, it says. I do want to have more than just a dab of beeswax in this recipe. And now we're going to add the coconut oil. As I'm sure y'all know, in the wintertime in cold weather, coconut oil gets quite hard. Well, that might be enough. Too. I think I'm going to have a lot of beeswax, but this will be a nice stiff salve. I think I'll stop at that. We'll see how that goes. We're going to put it into this double boiler. Turn it on about medium. We'll let everything melt and see what we think about that consistency. It's a little bit later. In fact, it's the next morning, which is why I'm drinking coffee. And if you notice that I'm wearing the same shirt as yesterday, don't say anything. It's one of my warm shirts, and it's gotten cold the last couple of days. It's pretty chilly in the house. Okay, so the Comfrey Salve is finished. I have just little dregs left in my jar, and I've been using this first so that I can wash it out. I'll put boiling water in there, but there's a little bit left in there. I don't want to waste any because I don't have much comfrey. And I don't want to pick any more from that little bush. So hopefully next year I'll have a bigger crop and I can make more. So let me show you what I did get. For breakfast, I'm having my usual healthy toast, which is a whole wheat toast, this one. But then Adam made a Russian braid. It's a cinnamony kind of toast with a fancy pattern inside. So I'm having one piece of that every day. Okay, so this is, pardon me, this is the little jar for myself. Now, these jars were given to me by a friend. She had like 50 of them. And I've just started using them a little at a time. They're glass, though. And they're not, they're not designed, I don't think, for skincare products. No. I think they're designed for canning or something. But they're very nice. So I put my stuff in these. So this is what it looks like. Now, the color is not as dark as the Healing Herb Ointment. I did leave it infusing in the oils like 8 hours, something like that. But I made a bad mistake because I was filming, so I was nervous. Sorry to say, I get nervous when I film, in case you can't tell. But I went ahead and put the beeswax in there, which I should not have done. You're supposed to, I think you're supposed to infuse the herbs into oils only first, then strain the herbs out, then add everything else. That's what I always do. But this time I forgot, and I was intent on the beeswax, and so I put it in, and I don't know if that maybe prevented it from infusing with a deeper color. I won't know till I make it again. Next time I won't make that mistake. So if you do it, don't do that. It might not have made any difference, though. I don't know. I did have enough for one little tub. Remember, that was a pretty small batch. So here's a nice little half-cup tub of Comfrey Salve, but just one. So I may take it to the market and put it on the table and see if anybody's interested in it. I did use it yesterday, last night, and this morning on some achy spots, primarily my thumbs. Now I have, it's a family condition. I have arthritis in my thumbs here. All my brothers have this too. And it's very achy, but sometimes it's a really sharp pain. And I must say that I think it's better. I put some on early this morning again. There's a little bit of achiness, but not what it usually is, especially in cold weather. So I'm slightly encouraged. Oh, and as far as the essential oils that I put in there, I did do some research, which means I looked on Google, as we all do. Isn't that terrible? You try to look for good sites, or maybe several of them that look like they are a little scientific. I was asking if there's any essential oils that are really good for achy muscles, kind of a subdermal thing. And the three that I already had that I really wanted to use for this were lavender, eucalyptus, and rosemary. Are kind of good for achy muscles and stuff like that. You wouldn't want to ever put those on straight, but in a salve or something. So instead of tea tree, which was not mentioned, I used those three, and it smells very nice. The Comfrey had an interesting smell. This is very nice, though. It's very mild. I think I can smell the eucalyptus in there. But I don't think the Comfrey is very strong. Anyway, I'm very pleased with this. I'm going to keep on using it all winter. Probably use up this little tub. I don't know when the Comfrey comes out in the spring, but I'm definitely going to keep on harvesting. Hopefully it'll spread. It's supposed to be invasive. You just never know. One other thing I wanted to show you before I stop is that I've started making some rolags again. I know I'm switching gears here, I apologize, but I do want to spin this winter. And I had plenty of fiber from the spinnery store. This is all merino. So I've got a big old basket of, doesn't that look gorgeous? Oh. Now the color, oh, hang on. I ran out of one of the colors, so let me pull one of these out from the bottom before I ran out. Oh, this one's kind of thin. Okay, the color in the middle is the cherry, and then there's kind of a darker maroon, and this one is a little more purpley. I think this is going to be really pretty. I ran out of the purple, and so the later rolags are just the cherry and the maroon. I'm not totally out of that yet, but I bet I've got 15 rolags at least in there, quite a few. And then that's going to be one of my singles. And the other singles, this is very similar to what's in this vest that I'm wearing. Oh, I need to tell you about the vest. Don't let me forget. Okay, so the other, oh, I hope I don't tear these up when I'm pulling them out. Okay, so that midnight blue over here, olive in the middle. This is that pumpkin. It's not the flame, it's pumpkin. And then this is a dark chocolatey brown. I think that'll be very pretty. And it's not exactly what I did with this, but very similar. Okay, I may have to stand up. I wasn't planning on doing this. Okay, so when I made this sweater, I realized that one side of the front was longer than the other. This side, you can see this in some of the photos if you cared to go back. You can see it here, okay, a little bit, it's not as bad. And then I made a pocket. See my pocket? I just put it on one side, I only need one pocket. I knitted it separate from the little bit of leftover. It's right here. Boy, it really does blend in, doesn't it? I did some garter stitch at the bottom simply because I was absolutely sick of stockinette. And then I thought, well, we'll do some stockinette in the middle. And then I ended with some garter. And then I just used the raw ends of that yarn that I was working with to sew it on. And the weight of the pocket pulls this down a little bit, and then I'm going to keep some stuff in there. I usually have a Kleenex in there all the time. And then I have a little tub of, this is just about right, of healing herb ointment in there. Right now I have a barrette in there too. There's my Kleenex. That's pretty standard for me. Anyway, it's really just for around the house, but now it looks better. I feel better that it's not quite so wonky looking. Okay. Anyway, that's the latest on this vest. It should be the end of the information on this vest, except for that you'll see me wearing it a lot this winter until it gets so cold that I need sleeves too. All right, so Comfrey Salve, a little more knitting coming along. Hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for subscribing and watching. I'm always amazed because it's just home stuff. See you later. Bye-bye.